Welcome to a brand new segment by Socially Desi. This is the Hustle Lounge.
Hustle Lounge aims at showcasing stories of entrepreneurs from across the world. The idea is to bring narratives that speak of real hustles that every founder has to go through to start and also run one's business.
In the Hustler clan, it truly takes one to know one, right, Garima?
Absolutely, Anurag. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. Expect life lessons, hacks, and some real learnings and stories of entrepreneurs from world over.
In this episode of the Hustle Lounge, we are interacting with the founder and CEO of OB Cocktails, Mr. Nitesh Prakash. He has over 10 years of leadership experience across different industries. He has been a manufacturing leader at P&G. He has led multiple businesses at Ola Cabs across auto, cabs, and food. He is an IIT Bombay alumni and he was born and brought up in Patna. So Garima, interesting topic about cocktails, and I know that you're a cocktail lover. So tell me more about it. And first of all, even before we start, what's your favorite cocktail?
Well, Anurag, I think cocktail is like a mood. It depends on, at this time of the day, I'd probably prefer a pina colada. At some time, I could prefer a mojito. It really depends on, I think it's all depends on the mood.
Perfect. And, what better way to lighten up a mood with a good cocktail? So Garima, before we start the episode, what is the hustle that we are talking about?
Well, I think one of the most endearing things that every time, we've interacted with Nitesh, what came along is, of course, you spoke about his glorious education background of IIT, IIM, and there is tech stack, and, everyone thinks of business and, fundamentals and things like that. But I think Nitesh's hustle has been around relationships and building relationships in business. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So,
wonderful. That's great.
Nitesh, of course, in this industry, a lot of folks focus on relationships, particularly top down. And, it's known to say that, if you have an equation, a top down is only then would you be successful in the business that you're running. But you have built relationships bottoms up. And how has that experience been so far?
First of all, thank you, Anurag. Thanks, Garima, for having a chat here. This sounds like we are going to have some fun along with some cocktails as well. So to answer your question, Garima, I think it's a DNA thing. In my last experience with Ola, that's what I've learned, to build experience around the end consumer, right? And to do that, you have to go on the ground to understand what the real experience means like to the end consumer. Right. So I think that is where I think bottoms up approach came into picture. I was very, very integrated when we designed the entire driver experience and the consumer experience in Ola. And the first thing that we did is to go and talk to the drivers, talk to the customers, understand how their experience should be ideally. Right. And then design the entire processes, systems, products around that experience. So that's where I think the objective of creating OB Cocktails comes into picture as well, where the idea was to create a cocktail experience for the end consumer, right? So we'll have to understand, talking to the consumers who are drinking at pubs, drinking at restaurants and other clubs as well, right? To figure out what exactly they are doing. Are they happy? Are they sad? What are their face talks about, right? So that's how it all actually started. Moving on, when we became clear that this is what we're trying to do, then the idea was that how do we do sales? How do we build brand? What is the product all about is going to be, right? And that's when the idea is going to retailers, talking to the retail partner owners, talking to the salespeople for other brands and understanding how they function. Coming for a different industry, obviously you bring new insights, new learnings. But it's also important to gather the learnings that has been there for decades, people who has been working as a part of this industry, right? So that was very fundamental because you don't jump into something without knowing the depth of that particular thing, right? So the idea was to understand, am I the right person to solve this problem, or should I just try something else, right? And that's where the idea was to build relationships from bottoms up approach come into picture, right? Where we started building relationship with the production people, with the sales people of other brands, right? Because it's a very very small, strongly knit community. The industry is very small, and a very known set of people work, going from one brand to other, one company to other. So it's very important to build the relationships bottoms up, because that is where the real picture comes into picture. You don't really get the real insights if you go top to bottom. Yes, you can build a business top to bottom, but I wanted to draw a business around a consumer experience, and that's where I think bottoms up approach helped us. And I think we are fairly doing great in terms of whatever the goals we have kept for ourselves. So I think it has worked for now for us. Let's see how the what future entails for us.
Wonderful. I think, that kind of an approach is really important when it comes to building a foundation. And this is what OB Cocktails has really done. They have built that foundation. The whole bottoms up approach has really given them the kind of investment they required for building up a relationship. So my question to you, Nitesh, is to everyone, in fact, watching and listening us right now. How much should one invest in building such relationships, right? Especially when you have come from outside the industry, right? You're an outsider and you're trying to build inroads into a very different industry. So how much should one invest in building such relationships?
So I think it also, so there are two ways to look at it, and this is my personal view. One is internal relationship, and second is external relationships. And I think internal relationships is with the team, with the people that you work with, the people you get along with on a day-to-day basis, right? So that's obviously very important, because these are the people that you're going to learn and grow with, right? So that's unsaid that you have to develop the relationships, and obviously other factors, peripheral factors, play an important role to grow and build that relationships. But yes, a personal touch, a personal connection helps in understanding each other and understanding the purpose of the other individual as well, and understanding to help each other as well, right? External relationships, which is people whom you work with who are not a part of your regular team members, etc. That's where I think it's all related to the business, the kind of experience you want to derive, the kind of goals that you've set for yourselves. So I think it is very very person dependent as well as business dependent, that should I develop a relationship or not. So coming from an industry where I was trying to solve a problem of mobility, right? So it was personal problem. So that's how talking to people, understanding what their problem statements are, what they want to get and what they're actually getting, and figuring out the gap between the two, right? So I think that's where it will completely depend on the individual. It is not something that that is given to you, or there's a playbook that it goes by it, right? So it is a very very individual driven, and also it all depends on the business, on the problem statements you're trying to solve. Having said that, be it either industry, there has to be some angle, some connection of the relationship which will be relevant to you as an individual, right? Whether that might not be relevant to the overall business as well, but as individuals, I think it's very important to develop the personal connection. COVID has obviously not meeting the ideals, because you're not able to meet the people you're working with, right? And that obviously hinders, and that adds to the overall struggle of developing the personal connection with the people, right? Because you can't get and go on a chai with the people. You can't just go out with your teammates and enjoy the time, because that is where you bond, right? You don't bond during work hours. You can't just call someone and set up a Zoom link for someone to discuss something personal, right? Or discuss something outside work, right? So I think that is very important, and one needs to understand the relevance to it, right? Internally, as I said before, it's 100% important and 100% useful as well for a longer term team building, right? And externally, I think it's personal dependent, and I come from the DNA where I try to derive the experience around the individual. So that's when meeting multiple people, understanding them, building that relationship, so that they share their opinions, they share their problem statement, they they share those insights, right? Because everyone has a story, but you need to ask the right questions to get those
Right.
stories, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And just to follow up on that, Nitesh, I remember when we were speaking prior to the episode, you spoke about your experience with Ola and the whole auto business, the way you drove that, and you had your own challenges. The way you had to deal with the auto rickshaw drivers. What sort of challenges did you face while building this network in this industry, and how was it tough for you, and how did you do it? Like, you gave one example of how because of COVID you were not able to interact with them face to face, but apart from this, what sort of other challenges you faced?
So I think while at Ola, the one good thing that was available was the resources. The team was immensely great, right? So it was the first of its kind. A system that was being built in the country, being built in the world, right? So there was no one to benchmark, there was no one to replicate from. So that helps because we were always working from the first principles, right? We're always trying to look at from a consumer point of view that what are the different issues that we face and how do we solve it, right? So that actually held me in designing what I wanted to do with OB cocktails, right? So the idea is to keeping, as I said before, the idea is to keep the customer, whether it is an auto driver partner or a cab driver partner or whether a salesman. The idea is to keep it at the center and then revolve the thoughts, revolve the problems and their probable solutions around it, right? While at Ola, as I said, the whole one, obviously language barrier is a huge problem when it comes to our country, right? You changes borders, the language changes, and developing a multilingual kind of approach, right? And auto is that category, or auto is that kind of mobility supplement which is present across, right? It is like omnipresent across all, right? So you need to go and develop that product for them. You can't just standardize a solution everyone around the country, right? Every state has a different way of solving that particular problem statement. So that was the good and bad part as well. You have to design at a very very local level, and actually that helped us as well because coming from the roots, you know how things are, you know how difficult and complex the problem is, and that's where it makes it at least actually easy because you know the problem statements, right? So that helped us, and actually that is helping me now as well because it's very similar to the complexity is very similar. It's changing from state to state. The modus operandi is changing from state to state. The economics changes from state to state. The language changes from state to state, right? So that is actually helping me in designing the state level or the city level or the market level dynamics and the business model around that. So that learning has been carried away in this business as well, and it is definitely helping me in creating the right solution for the right market as well.
Fair. So let me kind of shift gears to customers from partners, and you spoke about how you spent time and you wanted to revolve everything around customers and that experience. And cocktail is such a personalized, rather glamorized, experience with the glass and the works and behind the counter scenes and the colors and accessories. And how is that? How did you think about sort of starting a business in the format that you could deliver a similar experience? And for that, did you have to hustle enough to get the packaging right, to get the product right? And what was that process? I'm sure you had to. It'll be great if listeners could understand from you what was that process that you went through.
So, as you rightly said, Garima, cocktail is not just a liquid or a drink, it's an experience, right? You go out, you spend your time with your closed ones, either your friends or relatives and family, right? So, cocktail in my head has always been an experience. It's not just a liquid to pour and to drink, right? And that's where the beautiful part of designing that experience comes into picture. It's music, it's glamour, it's jazziness behind the counter, right? And the glasses as well, right? But I am actually astonished by the number of cocktail glasses that are available in the market, right? And that's where we are trying to design. Every cocktail has a different glass, every cocktail has a different color, every cocktail has a different aroma and sound of pouring that drink in the glass, right? So that's actually fun because you're designing for every different experience, right? You're not just standardizing it and making it standard for everyone, because that's not what cocktail is all about, right? To elaborate furthermore, like I as an individual loves Long Island iced tea, right? But I can't do that on a Monday morning at 10 o'clock, right? That's where I think Mojito comes into picture, right? So every drink has a different character, and we are trying to design that character, whether it is packaging, whether it is brand, whether it is a sound of the drink, whether it is a texture of the drink, right? So I personally started all this in my kitchen a couple of years ago, right? Hired a bartender, professional bartender. We made multiple drinks, put it in a small glass bottles, tried to ship it around with friends and families just to check whether they are understanding the concept of cocktail in a glass or a bottle, right? So that was the first experiment we did. Then that experiment, we took it a little further, made a batch of 50 cans for a friend's party. Everyone enjoys free drink, right? So somehow they were keep praising me, being a friend to them. But yeah, my experiments were really successful. People were loving it, and people were loving the overall experience, the way we have designed our glasses, the way we have kept our caps very seamless to open, right? So that you can pour it directly. The glasses are different, the presentation is different, right? We have garnishes as well, which we are adding, and different garnishes for different cocktails as well, right? So that's the fun and the beautiful part of
Yep.
designing a cocktail experience is like. And it has been fun with me, frankly speaking. Every cocktail I personally drink at least till the time that drink goes to the consumer, we have tasted at least 100 times of that drink. So there's a lot of work that is going on behind the curtain, behind the screen. And I'm really proud that we are making that effort. Yes, it has taken us a little bit more time, thanks to COVID and thanks to otherwise as well. But yes, I think the product that has come out is really important and really makes sense to me, because that is where I imagined on day one as well, right? So it has been fun, and trust me, the way I envision it, I think it's going to be the biggest cocktail brand one can envision in the country and outside.
Fabulous, fabulous. We truly hope so as well. I also want to, like I said, I switched gears to customers. Can't help but think that way. But moving back to what you were talking about in terms of grassroots relationships and building those, and perhaps because of your Ola Auto experience, you're I don't know if I'll be correct to say that you are perhaps comfortable with unions and cartels and lobbies, and very close to, almost synonymous to the industry that you're operating in. Is it really tough to build relations, or if some people are thinking about building businesses where they are facing roadblocks with unions and cartels and lobbies? Do you have any tips for them, or what is the secret sauce behind building relationships there?
Okay, so I'll use a better term, a group of individuals, right, instead of using the cartels or associations, because that's actually a group of individuals. So see, wherever, and yes, you're absolutely right. Whether it was auto business or cab business, there were a lot of groups that were formed formally, informally, registered, unregistered, multiple ways, because you can't stop a group of individuals coming together and deciding for themselves, right? And that is how it should be, right? So the whole idea or the whole thought process, what we incorporated back at Ola and what we are doing right now as well in OB Cocktails, is to understand the purpose behind that association, right? Is to understand the intent of coming together, right? And understanding that what is the purpose that they are coming together for, what is that they're trying to achieve by forming that association, right, or by coming together. So the moment you understand that particular bit, yes, it's not an easy task to understand that purpose. You'll have to go and talk to the fellow members one on one. You have to talk to the people who has been speaking to these group of individuals to understand the right and real purpose behind that, right? So that's the tough part, to understand the purpose behind forming and coming together, right? And the moment you understand the purpose, I think then the approaching them becomes very easy, because you know what they want, because you know what they are looking for, right? And you know what are the challenges they have in their daily lives or overall as a business wise as well, right? So then it becomes very easy. You just go design a solution around the problem statement, or to make their life easy, right? And you go with that purpose, ensuring that you're not hampering any of their ideals, not disrespecting any of their thoughts or principles or visions what they carry, right? So it's all about going with the right intent. And what I've seen both in auto and in Ola, as well as over here as well, in the alcohol industry as well, right? Until unless your intent is right, you know that you're doing the right thing, and you go with the right intent, with the right solve to them, people don't say no. They know what you're trying to do if you're trying to explain it better. And I have personally met a few association members and the leaders, and what I have realized that they are extremely welcoming. The only thing that you need to understand is that what are the hindrances that they have faced in the past, and how are you going to overcome or overpass those hindrances, right? So that's very, very important, and that's where I think I have been successful because of the learnings that I have, right? Obviously there's a long way to go. I'm very, very small as of now. The business is very, very small. There will be multiple level of interactions that will come in the future, but I think keeping the approach right, keeping the intent right, and keeping your goals in the right direction is going to help in making sure that you meet at whatever level people are in, and you pass on your message. I think that's the fundamental of reaching out to anyone, whether it is an a formed organization or a informal organization.
For sure, for sure. Rightly said, Nitesh, and it's really important to understand, when you meet these people, when you meet unions or group of people indulged in a particular activity, what is the goal? What is their North Star, right? So if you can crack down their North Star, then definitely you can offer them something which I'm sure they won't refuse, right? Like the way
Right.
it goes in with the Godfather. So you make them an offer they cannot refuse, and that's how businesses work. So rightly said.
Right.
But we even before the episode, we spoke about your home delivery venture. So tell us a bit about that venture, and how instrumental is that home delivery venture of yours for the OB Cocktail brand?
So the idea is to as you rightly said, North Star is to create a D2C alcohol brand, which is unheard of at this moment of time in the country, right? So that's the fundamental objective of starting the alcohol delivery platform in Bombay, Thane, and Mumbai. We have started, I think, a year back. We had no experience either in alcohol delivery or in alcohol business, so it was completely new. Having said that, we went to multiple retailer partners, wine shop retailer partners, and tried to work with them, understand as I said, try to figure out the right way to create a platform so that they can benefit from the overall digital transformation, which not every wine shop is associated with, right? So the whole idea is to show them and give them the power of digital, bring customers digitally and take it to a different level. It's a huge penetration, and it will take a lot of time to reach to the state which is ideal for the alcohol delivery platform to call it a goal met kind of a thing, right? But yes, the whole idea or the whole objective is to set up a D2C brand. We have not launched OB Cocktails in Bombay, but we are trying to build the delivery platform for other brands as well, because at the end of it, the retail partners has to benefit from the overall digital space, right? Overall social media, overall customers purchasing a lot of stuff
Correct.
online. So that's where we are. We are actually working with our approximately 50 retail wine partners in and around Bombay. And the idea is to give them as many business as possible. We are not making money at the moment. We are trying to develop that relationship with them. That's where we are. And the goal is simple and clear, that this is a supply chain network that we're trying to build. It's not an easy task to develop a supply chain network of alcohol retail brand, because multiple brands have failed in that, and it's going to take time. And that's where the whole intent of not making money in this business. It's not a non-profitable, but the idea is to invest time at this moment of time, invest in the retail partners so that they understand our right intent, and in future obviously we'll find our right business model to make money from. But yes, the goal is to, the moment we launch our OB cocktails in Bombay, we want to use this alcohol delivery platform to accelerate the growth phase of OB cocktails in Maharashtra as well. So that's the intent. Hopefully in a couple of months, whenever we launch in Bombay, we will try and meet the intent that we launched it for.
Right. Fabulous. So, well, before we bid goodbye, we do have to ask the story behind OB cocktails and what is OB cocktail.
Okay, so it actually happened over a night, catching up with friends, etc. Right, and that's where we realized that every individuals, like all of the four of us who were drinking that night, were actually drinking different cocktails, and I somehow figured that. That person is drinking that particular drink because that is the character he or she is in, right? And that's when the awestruck or lightning struck, which gave a resemblance that every cocktail has its own character, right? And that's how we try to replicate, or that's how we order the drink accordingly, right? As I said, like I'm a Long Island iced tea. I love Long Island iced tea, but I can't have a Long Island iced tea on a Monday morning, right? So you're not that character on a Monday morning. So that's where we realize that every cocktail is a different character, and that's when the idea of OB something comes into picture. So our Long Island iced tea is OB lively, our mojito is OB zesty, our cosmopolitan is OB fabulous, and four more are coming, and similar names are associated with that, right? So as I said, it's very simple. Our idea is to characterize it, give it that fun vibe to the overall drink as well, right? And so along with the cat comes into picture as well, to add to that fun vibe character of the drink. So yeah, it's not really complicated, but yes, people take time to understand that. That's where the brand building comes into picture.
No, fabulous. I'm sure. Yeah, fantastic. I can't stop but think, I think this is probably the second time in the conversation you've said, I can't have a Long Island iced tea on a Monday morning, but I can have a mojito. I don't know, I don't know which part of the world on Monday morning at 10 a.m. having mojitos is okay, but I love OB cocktails for saying that. And I'm surely going to use that the next time I pick up a mojito at 10 a.m. on Monday.
I think if you can have a coffee, you can have a mojito as well. So I don't see too much of a difference. Hope there will be time when there will be coffee.
Yeah, as they say, it's mojito o'clock somewhere in the world.
Yeah. That's like a Monday motivation 101, huh? That can go on LinkedIn as a hashtag.
Really?
So if you can have coffee, if you can have coffee in the morning, why not mojitos? Hashtag, OB cocktails.
Right.
I'm supporting the cause, guys.
Love it. But a lovely chat, Nitesh. Thank you so much for being on the Hustle Lounge today. And guys, if you're watching us, listening to us, go check out obcocktails.com. They are currently available in Bangalore and Goa, right, Nitesh?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So guys, go ahead, grab yourself an OB cocktail and take a picture and share it with us. Yeah, you can share and tag us on Instagram, tag OB cocktails also. And, let's do some contest soon with Obi Cocktail, and the best picture wins. I'm sure Garima is eyeing on that prize already because she is planning to go to Goa.
Yeah, I can't get over the 10 a.m. mojito. I've zoned out then, But thank you so much, Nitesh. I think this has been one of the most fun chat, and it had to be. We are talking about cocktails, and it's such a fun brand with such a superb brand story and fantastic packaging. I see that you have a very simple, open, kind of lift up cap, which is so easy to use and ready to drink in the glass, and can't wait to grab one for myself. Thank you so very much. This has been very, 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 very interesting for us to chat today.
Thank you, Garima. Thanks, Anurag, for having me here. It was a fun chat, definitely. And let's have some cocktails and have some more chats.
For sure, we will.
And cheers to relationships.
Yes, cheers.
Cheers.
So guys, thank you all for tuning in today. Please do reach out to us at hustlelounge@sociallydesi.com for any suggestions, feedback, and collaborations that you may have in mind. See you next Tuesday, and keep hustling.